I can't believe that I am saying that America has political prisoners, but it does. It still doesn't resonate with me. America, political prisoners. The government is used to persecute the dissent. And yet that is what has happened since the Biden administration was elected.
Why is there not more uproar from the people? It's obvious, it's clear that our government has weaponized itself, not just against the powerful like Donald Trump, Mike Lindell, very wealthy people who can afford to pay millions of dollars, but even against a pastor, a father of four. I'm thinking of someone here in Pennsylvania. It's obvious. Why is there not more of an uproar from the people?
Because they have a lot to lose, and a lot don't even realize that this is happening because the media doesn't tell them this. The Columbia Journalism Review, to its credit, and I'm quite shocked, frankly, that it even did this. It's the most prestigious journalism review in the country, which doesn't mean it's good. Prestigious and good are not synonymous, but I'm just noting that it is. They wrote an enormous piece about how the Washington Post, New York Times, and other media lied for 2 years about Russian collusion with the Trump campaign. Has it made any difference? Has the New York Times or the Washington Post lost readers as a result of lying for 2 years? And it's lied on any number of issues. No, most people don't want to be bothered. They want to live their lives, go to work, enjoy a beer, and enjoy their family. I mean, nice people. And then there are the others who are activists who want to continue the suppression of dissent. So it's very hard to arouse people to fight for the good. It's really difficult.
What does history tell us about a strategy of arousing people?
That it usually doesn't work.
Really? That's not very helpful, Dennis. I'm looking for a strategy. I'm looking for, what do I need to do?
A strategy I've answered, and I'll answer again if you'd like. You asked, what does history teach? History's lessons are pretty dark. Stalin was defeated. Hitler was defeated. Mao was not defeated. The Maoists still run China. But they were defeated because they went to war with other whole countries. And so people realized, see, when Hitler persecuted the Jews in the 1930s, the vast majority of world leaders said, that's the Jews' problem, not ours. Just like they feel about Hamas, that's the Jews' problem, not ours. I wrote a whole book on this subject 35 years ago. Why the Jews? It's in its third revised edition. And I delineate that every non-Jew who dismisses Jew hatred or anti-Semitism, as it is euphemistically called, as the Jews' problem, is truly acting foolishly. The Jew hater begins with the Jews, never ends with the Jews.
I agree. So here's the strategy, thinking back to, and I've taken copious notes as you were talking, because I was just 3 short years ago, I was living what I would have termed my best life. Homeschooling my children, just put a pool in, dreams of how we were going to spend our summers. And then I downloaded Democrats at this time. Sitting down, teaching my daughter geography. She was studying. And I had downloaded the night before Democrats' bill that they were proposing in 2019 on their border plan, their border bill. And as I was reading it, I thought to myself, my God, if these people win, we are going to lose our country. Now, fast forward several years later to today, and what I read back in 2019 is what we're witnessing today. But I was reading it then. But I remember thinking to myself, I mean, if good people don't start getting involved in politics, for example, we're going to lose our country. And that started me down the path 3 years ago. Feels like forever now, but 3 short years ago of finding ways to get more engaged, which has led me and a path I would have never, if God had given me a notepad and a pen, I would not have written my life as such. And yet here I am, and I'm grateful for it. So I'm talking to you, the uncle I wished I had. I could just pick up the phone and call, and looking for strategy. And as I'm looking over my notes as you're talking, the one that stands out is have the courage to speak truth.
By the way, you mentioned one of the greatest things that people could do. If enough Americans did this, it would be a massive step forward. Homeschool your children.
Homeschooling. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We homeschooled for 6 years because I saw 10 years ago what people are just now waking up to. When my 5-year-old came home, and she had in this stack of paperwork that they provide your kids, a letter from the guidance counselor. And when I asked to see the teaching objectives of a guidance counselor to my 5-year-old, it was 35 of the most ridiculous things. Essentially, they were going to parent my child for me. And a part of that was teaching them about different family configurations, which is buzzword for same-sex marriage and everything else that we're contending with. And my husband and I made a decision then that we could do a better job. And we have. My babies are amazing people today, not captured. Their heart, their soul has not been captured by this very intentional ideology, leftist ideology that has come upon us. But nonetheless, homeschooling is a strategy. But for the overwhelming majority of us, I think what I'm walking away with is what I already knew, but I'm glad to see that you agree with it, or that, that what I'm thinking agrees with what you're thinking, is that speaking truth. And it's going to take courage to do that.
That's the answer, is truth and courage, and taking kids out of the corrupted, intellectually corrupted and morally corrupted institutions called schools.
Another thing I think we could do, have a very good dose of, is stop trying to understand the operations of someone's mind, why they do what they do, and just look at what they've done and then judge that as good or bad.
That was my original point. That's correct.